Yeah, Jody. Yeah. $18 buggy, y'all ready? Half an hour coming.
Well, good morning and welcome to Arthur's retirement vlog. I retired from full-time work yesterday, and as I'm starting a new phase of life, as it were, I've decided to do a video diary of my retirement, really to look at what retirement is like, and perhaps to pass some information on to others. I actually finished work a couple of weeks ago, but I had some holiday to take, so my official retirement date was yesterday. I've retired 3 years before I'm due for my government state pension. Retired a bit early, really, so that I could have time to pursue interests and things that I didn't have time to do when I was at full-time work. I can't see any reason why social media and YouTube should be the preserve of the young entirely. Some of us who've been into the media and into computers for a long time are now getting quite old. So I want really to stump my mark on YouTube for the oldies. Some of you may have seen me before because I do have a quite an active YouTube channel on photography and instruction videos on photography. Yeah, I really want to have time now to pursue some of my interests. I'd like to actually run my photography as a proper business rather than just the part-time venture that I've been doing so far. I mean, I don't do weddings and things, but I do concentrate on product photography, portraits, and that type of thing. Photography for people's websites and that type of thing. I'm also getting more into filmmaking, having had a YouTube channel for a little over a year now. I'm getting a bit more experience in filmmaking, and I want to really to look into that and try and develop a more cinematic style, and then perhaps go into doing some actual commercial video work on top of my commercial photography work. Apart from that, you know, I'm keen on going out walking. I'm not an anorak in the mountains type. I like to walk my dogs in the country. I like to keep fit. I never quite make my 10,000 steps a day, but my daily average is running at about 7,500 at the moment. So that's not too bad. I like to travel. We've recently been to Whitby in North Yorkshire, and I'm off to Germany next month. No, December, 2 months away. We're going to Cologne for the Christmas markets, and that'll be a bit of adventure on the Eurostar and the Belgian and German railway systems. And I'll probably do a video diary of the journey, just to let everybody know what it's like to actually do that journey. I mean, I think perhaps train travel is going to become a more important part of the European holiday from now on anyway, because a lot of the budget airlines seem to be either cancelling flights or going bust anyway. So perhaps we may need to rely a little bit more on the Eurostar and the French, Belgian, German and Italian railway systems to actually get to our holidays in the sun from now on. And that could be quite an interesting project for the future. One of the things I enjoy doing in my spare time is cooking, actually, and again, now I'm not at full-time work, I'll perhaps be able to do a bit more cooking. I've certainly, since I stopped work 2 weeks ago, become more adventurous in my food purchasing anyway, rather than just relying on a weekly delivery from the supermarket. I've actually started to go out and go around the vegetable markets and buy fresh veg. I bought meat from the butchers, and going to visit different stores to try and find the best prices and the best quality, rather than relying on one single source for my food. I don't eat junk food. I like to prepare all my food from basic ingredients anyway, and it gives me more time now to source the ingredients and to think about recipes. So hopefully I won't eat more, but hopefully we'll be able to eat better now that I've retired and finished work. Another one of my interests, which I haven't really had time to pursue in recent years because of work commitments, is music. I mean, I'm 63 now, and I've been playing the guitar for 50 years. I started when I was 12, 13 years of age with the first proper guitar. And I've played in bands and rock bands, folk bands, country bands over the years, and done quite a lot of solo gigs. But I've not really had time to play much recently. I went through a period of building my own guitars. I went through a period of buying lots of guitars. I think I had 14 at one time, but I've had to pare that down now, and I'm down to about 5 guitars now, I think. So I might have more time to play the guitar. I also try and play the keyboards, not so well, and I enjoy recording. But again, like filmmaking, recording music can be quite time consuming, and therefore I haven't really had time to pursue that. And now I may be able to spend some time actually doing some composing. I've got quite a few keyboards and synthesizers and my own recording studio equipment. But as I say, in recent years I haven't really had time to use it. So in terms of guitars, I've got Gibson Les Paul, Fender Strat, I've got a Fuchs amplifier and a Hughes & Kettner amplifier. I've got a couple of acoustic guitars. I've got in fact 3 acoustic guitars. I've got a Taylor, which I don't play very often because I'm frightened of scratching it. I've got a Lag French guitar, which actually was cheap, but it's very, very, very good for the money. I like to go to gigs and live music, and again, I might have more time for that. You've got this bucket list of artists that I'd like to see before I get too old. I did get to see Tom Petty a few weeks ago because he was on my bucket list, and I was very sad to hear that he passed away a few days ago. But I did see him at the end of July in Hyde Park in London, and I must admit it's one of the best gigs I've ever been to. So the best live music I've ever heard, and that was a sad passing. Anyway, got some coffee. One of the hazards of being retired may be drinking too much coffee, so I'll have to be aware of that. I'll try not to go on too much about the problems of retirement. I want to look at the positive aspects of what you can do when you've got the time. I retired from a job with the government. Actually, I mean, I'd spent most of my life working in housing, working for housing associations and developers. Through the 80s and 90s, I would consider myself to be a bit of a housing activist. I lobbied the government a lot. In fact, for right through the 90s, I was actually on a government advisory working panel trying to tell the government about social housing and housing need and housing finance, but they never listened, do they? So into the 2000s, I was working for housing associations on major regeneration projects, a lot which never proceeded because the funding was pulled. Towards the end of the 2000s, I worked for one of the major developers, probably the largest provider of social housing in the UK. But that all went to pieces with a credit crunch, and I went to work for the government, perhaps in a slightly easier, less controversial role. So I've taken early retirement now. I've only got a small pension, so I'm going to be skint. So perhaps one of the things I might share with you out there in YouTube land is how to survive on a smaller income, which is something I'm going to have to learn to do. I hope that we can make this journey interesting, and I can share with you my travels, my recipes for food, and I'll try not to share too many of my political views with you. Well,